All right, here we are. Welcome back to GFBS. We are Grand Forks' best source. And it is time, and this is one of my favorite times, for your Home of Economy podcast. Joining us in the studio today, Wade Pearson. How are you? Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's great weather. Just nice to see the blue sky instead of kind of being brown. And,
I know. And the smoke last week was brutal.
Yeah, I've got asthma, so it really gets to me. So I wasn't going outside, which just stinks because summers are so short.
And that's another thing. The drought we've had, it's messed up everything. I have almost 6 acres at my house, and I mow a lot. So I went and and I kind of have fun doing it, but I haven't got to mow at all. Just around my house where I have full-grown trees and shade, but. Now we got a little over an inch the other night. We got a half inch out at my house a couple of days before that, whatever it was. But now I'm looking at it, and now when I get out of here today, wait, I got to go mow. I got to go mow everything.
Yeah, well, at least it's not dying. I've got the same thing, but we didn't get any rain south of town.
Oh yeah,
down between Reynolds and Buxton, and it stinks.
And then when you walk across the brown grass, when you can hear your footsteps crunch in the grass. And then your footprints stay in the grass for like a month.
Yeah.
You know it's getting dry.
But the weeds do well.
Yeah, the weeds are. Isn't that funny how they grow?
I was walking around and I'm trying to get rid of the burrs. We used to have horses, and now I want to get it all nice so I can go walk out with the dog. So I'm really fighting those burr plants.
Yeah.
So I had sprayed with Roundup everywhere I went, everywhere I see them. So I had one dead, but I didn't want the dogs to walk by and get them because there were burrs on it. So it's just a little short one, about like this. So I pulled it out, and the root was as long as my, 18 inches. I'm like, no wonder why they're doing good. I was shocked.
Trying to get all the way down to China to find some water.
Yeah.
Another thing about this time of the year, too, is now is the time hornets are coming out, and I'm deathly allergic to them. So one of our flower gardens, with that heavy rain the other night, some of the flowers were down. So every year about this time, I go and I start tying them up. Well, my wife started doing it, and I heard her yell. And she says, I think I got stung by a hornet. And I go, well, that's odd, getting stung by a hornet. Here, it should be a honeybee, if anything. Well, here we looked. It was under my screen porch, and sure enough, there's a hornet's nest down there, and I'm deathly allergic. And I was down there digging around, tying up stuff, and I didn't get stung, but I would have been right to the ER. And
yeah, that's scary stuff. I got a brother-in-law that,
and I never used to be.
Yeah.
And now, and you find out when you are allergic, every time you get stung, it's worse.
Yeah, that's what. It's terrible.
And just like people are like, we got an EpiPen. Well, all that does is buy you time. But anyway, that's funny how we get sidetracked. Now, you've had a very busy couple of months at Home of Economy. From the grand openings, the Fair Food Farmers Market, to Tractor Pull, you guys, and it's normal. It's typical. What do we say? There's always something fun going on at Home of Economy.
Yeah. Well, and it's great because last year we didn't do nearly as much with everything going on. So it's fun to get back there and doing stuff and having activities. And we had the people there for the farmers market there yesterday, and they seemed to be doing real well. I talked to one of the guys I know pretty well, and he was real happy with it. So
good.
It's great to see the produce coming in. I bought a dozen ears of corn for $5.
Oh, really?
Just raised in Larimore, so.
Good stuff, too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make it tonight, bring it up to the lake.
Are you heading up to the lake tonight?
Yeah, my wife's up there, so I'm trying to spend more time, so.
And now people can actually get up to the angle. How about that?
Yeah, my brother Scott, he goes up there, and it's been tough for him,
I can imagine.
And you got all this stuff, and I can't imagine the people that got property haven't been able to get up there at all, or maybe in Canada, and those places, they deteriorate.
Yeah, and it's funny because I saw Monday morning up by Baudette, they were figuring like 10-hour wait to get across the border, but then all the other border stations looked like they were pretty good. Yeah. But it's good that finally things are starting to get back to normal. When I was in construction, Wade, I all my clothing that I wore for construction, I bought at Home of Economy, and you guys have got a great clothing selection, and we're going to go through a bunch of this. But is there anything new now in clothing coming out?
Well, the new stuff's coming, is starting to come in. I mean, our business, just being in North Dakota, most of it comes in the fall. I mean, obviously we have stuff for year round, but so the big stuff comes in. So that's kind of nice to see. So, even though we're in the work clothing, the workers are getting younger compared to us.
Yeah, yeah.
It's terrible, and they're getting younger than us. So, they want to see more fashion and
Sure.
whatever. So even like in the FR gear that we sell out in Western North Dakota, they want to see those, washes in the jeans, so they kind of look a little,
Oh, sure.
little more like you'd wear out going around town. And I'm like, well, yeah,
That way you don't have to change clothes after work.
yeah. You got those big FR patches on there that the safety, they got to put it on there for the safety guys, and they got to be visible. But we had back during the big boom times, we actually had high school kids wanted to wear that because that was kind of the cool thing out there. So they were wearing like $120 pair of jeans, which is weird for here. I mean, maybe not in the big city, but
Yeah, so the kids got the stylish fireproof pants on now.
That's crazy.
Do you ever get like something new in that really excites you?
It happens. I mean, it's like, what do you need? Now it's kind of like more new color or whatever. Or even though I was walking around the department and the new Under Armour stuff's coming in.
No.
And it's not all in, but we had some new sweatpants I saw for the first time, and they kind of almost had a seersucker finish to them. They were real light. And I thought they'd be great for, fall and winter to wear around the house or, out and about. It's more of a sweatpant, but casual.
Yeah, and when Under Armour came out, I was one of those guys. I'm a tightwad cheapskate.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this Under Armour stuff, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to pay that much money for some long underwear.
Yeah.
And then I finally broke down and got some. And I tell you what, when we were growing up, the old white long johns that would get all bunged up inside your pants and everything. I actually have a friend, and I'm not making this up, would wear his long johns backwards because he said they didn't get all bunged up and stuff like that. But Under Armour, I mean, man, why couldn't that have been invented 30 years ago, 40 years ago?
No kidding. But back when we were kids, I mean, you didn't even have pack boots. I mean, you were wearing, you're wearing galoshes, pull on over there and
With
bread bags.
The bread bags.
Yeah.
And,
we didn't, for some reason, we didn't get the zipper ones, which were cool. We had the buckles, and it's like, Mom.
And as soon as you bust a buckle, and it's funny because I would tell, my kid that, you know what, we used to actually put bread bags in our boots, and they laugh at us.
Yeah.
Like, you're making that up.
They just don't know what it's like.
No, have no idea. Now, I would imagine you guys have got stores all over the place. I would imagine the clothing selection in each store, does that differ then? Because, if we go to the oil fields, I'm sure it's a little different. You get around here where there's more farming.
Yeah, even the selection of jeans and whatever. You go to Jamestown, which isn't far from the valley, but people don't want to wear Carhartt jeans there; they wear Wranglers. Just the snaps on your Wrangler flannel shirt, or do you want buttons? And you go back and forth, and we have snaps here, but other towns they want buttons. It's definitely there's always been a divide from Grand Forks and Fargo along the river and the rest of the state. But, it definitely changes, and much more the Western clothing. And so I'll be out in the other stores, and geez, I haven't seen this. Well, there's a reason. I'm selling Grand Forks, so we're not bringing it in.
And I never thought of that because all of my button-up shirts are button-up shirts. I don't have any with snaps, but
I don't like snaps, but
and let's face it, early in the morning, sometimes I'm a little lazy. Maybe it would be nicer, but I would rather have buttons too.
You're wearing a T-shirt. What could be lazier than that? Not much difference. Not much difference in this. So
now, you guys, when it comes to especially like work clothes and stuff, I mean, you got the Carhartt Yukon Extremes. I love those rural.
The Carhartt Extremes. We all remember the real heavy, the black with the it's kind of not a natural fabric or whatever, but was real wind resistant. Well, they totally re-engineered that product line, and they put in thinner thinner material. The exterior wear has some give in it, so you don't put it on and you don't look like Randy in Christmas Story.
Yeah, I
you
was
know?
just gonna say that because you got to face it. The old Carhartts, you got them. It took quite a few washings for those things to get the stiffness out of them.
And if it's black, why are you washing it?
Yeah, well, that's true. That's just to try to
At least
soften them up a little bit.
But my family. So yeah, it's really really good. And they last year we dipped our toe in that. The old Extremes are gone, and we didn't buy all that much, which was good because the weather didn't but they were popular. So we got more of them in this year, so they're still coming in.
You talk about styles and stuff too, Wade. The new Rural Life and Black Clover baseball caps.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool. I was actually in there looking at them. Every once in a while, I will stop by and look at the work clothes and the boots and stuff just because I bought so many of them in my life. But
Yeah.
you sit there and you
live rurally. You gotta
Yeah.
have that stuff, the right stuff to wear when you're even. That's like me. I mean, I work in an office job, but I live rurally, so I got to have that stuff too.
And like we mentioned a little earlier, with Carhartts too, in all of the work clothes, the styles have just changed so much. A lot different than when I was working construction. Are there new Carhartt styles and colors and things, or are they still just going to be black and the tan?
Yeah, they're trying to enter and get more with a younger crowd. So they're bringing in new colors, and I like bright colors. You probably notice when you're coming here, and a lot of times I'm an only guy wearing a bright salmon shirt or whatever. But so they don't have that, but they have better colors and stuff. And
You ever think about getting like tie-dye bright Crocs?
yeah, no, I don't like. I don't really like Crocs. They're comfortable, but
Oh, you should see my collection that I have got. Speaking of Crocs, how about shoes? How about Skechers?
yeah, they've been really going good. They're obviously got the following, and it's a work shoe. Mm-hmm. But again, like we were talking before, the working crowd is younger now, and people want to wear something more like what they're used to. So they're not just wearing that brown heavy steel-toed boot. I mean, they want to wear something.
Yeah. And when it comes to the boots too, and I've mentioned it a million times, I'm kind of tight. When it came to socks, especially when you were wearing work boots, because my work boots were always my most comfortable pair of shoes I ever owned. And I used to think, big deal. I got good boots. Who needs good socks? Well, you learn real quick about buying good quality socks, and you carry those at Home of Economy.
Yeah, we have a huge selection of socks. So, and definitely you want to make sure you have the right pair, and don't skimp on the socks, because they make all the difference.
Oh, they sure do. Now, Home of Economy, when you go back into history, it basically, I mean, when you first opened, now, correct me if I'm wrong, you catered a lot to farmers and the agriculture world and people living outside of town. But when did you guys actually start selling clothing at Home of Economy?
It started, about the time I was born, but it was a real small department. It was just an offshoot of the sporting goods department. Mm-hmm. And so just a small amount. I know when I was a kid, I'd be in there, and we actually sold sports jackets, had a whole run of those.
Yeah.
Which, of course, everybody, they wore one of those jacket and tie to church or out to dinner. You'd go to the hockey games, and, 3/4 of the people were in a jacket and tie. So it's a different world.
Yeah.
But they got out of those like around 1980, but really got into the workwear. The last 15 years, we saw an opening in the market. Because nobody really. I mean, a lot of people have a little bit of here and there or whatever, and so our theory is you try to go into something and be the destination place.
Right.
We used to have a huge customer base because there was every section had 2 or 3 homesteads on it. And those people, they'd come in and they'd buy from us, and those people, those are obviously gone away. So now you got to like pick an item like the Traeger or something or work gear that people are willing to drive across town to get.
Sure.
And buy from you. So it's kind of that, part of your image.
Yeah. We've been talking about trends and styles and things. Now, when you're looking to add to the store when it comes to clothing, Do you go for the trend or do you go for the durability?
Well, obviously you want the quality stuff, but there's also the, people, there's, there are people that are established and they're going to buy something real nice. There's people that the company, gives them a voucher. They're going to spend the whole voucher,
Sure.
of course. And then there's people that are just starting out and they want to buy something a little bit cheaper and get their feet under them. And, maybe they don't know if they're going to be around. So you got to offer all these price points. And with the price points comes a lot of times the durability.
Right.
And they don't want to go too low. We used to have a pair of work boots, and they were popular when we first brought them in, and they were real cheap, but they looked good and whatever. But it got to the point where nobody wanted those. They wanted the good quality
Sure.
workwear. So of course we dropped it. But
Yeah, you can usually tell a new guy that's never worked construction when they got to buy their first set of construction clothes. You can always tell the guy that shows up and he's got the cheap pair of boots on.
Yeah.
And you feel sorry for the guy because you go, wow, we got a 12-hour day here, buddy. I hate to see you limping around here about 8 hours into this gig today. But and another thing that's come a long way, Wade, are gloves. And one thing you cannot miss at Home of Economy is the wall of gloves.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. We used to have them, and we had a little bit here, a little bit there, and we decided that it was something that nobody else was really carrying as much as we were. So we kind of doubled down, put them all together, made a big deal, and it's just really been great. I mean, in Williston, when we opened up that new store, we had 100 feet of work gloves on the wall, floor to ceiling. And that was exciting. So, and you've got to have it for every use, between and switch gloves are tough because you have the seasonality.
Yeah, I mean, I've been an old Kinco guy forever, and I probably got 8 pairs of them laying around my house. But when it comes to winter, snow removal, getting on your machinery, all that stuff, you need the warmth, but you also need to use your fingers. Otherwise,
Right.
I mean, guys would be wearing mittens the whole time or choppers.
Right.
And I mean, those are good for certain things too. But you know what it's like living out in the, basically a farm and taking care of, all the kind of things we have to do out in the country, but you got to have a good glove that's warm too.
Yeah, and depending on your use and the durability. Now, I get on my little tractor for snow blowing. It's no cab, but when you're on there, you can get by with the ski gloves, and those are real comfortable because the nylon's more movable. But you get off, and you got to put on a different pair of gloves to work on the equipment because those get wrecked right away.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's
And you touch a hot muffler or something, and there you go. Now, another thing, we've been talking a lot about work clothes, but you also carry clothes for kids all the way to adults.
Yeah, we're trying to do. I mean, we've got the key. What we're really trying to do is the work clothing, and most of that is we're good at the men's clothing. We're trying to do the women's work clothing too. Our suppliers aren't as good at it. I mean, we've tried. Sizes with women is really tough, and we're not good in fashion. We're no good at all at that. So we don't want much to do with that. But we have the Under Armour for women. We have the Carhartt for women, and so we're doing our best to cover that, and particularly the customers that are coming in and working.
When you go into Home of Economy, not only can you not miss the wall of gloves, but you cannot miss the boots.
Yeah.
The selection of boots. Now, in my construction days, I started as a Wolverine guy, bought at Home of Economy. Then I went to Georgia forever. And then they kind of changed their style just a little bit. So I can't remember what I went to from there. But now these new things, and I just finally bought my first pair muck boots. You guys have got an incredible selection of boots. And, all you got to do is look at the bronze boot sign that's in there.
Yeah.
And you can't miss it because that takes up a good chunk of your store.
Yep, and footwear is really important to us. So we're doing our best. And like you said, I've had Wolverine, the Durangos. Ariat kind of came out of nowhere, both in the boots and in the work clothing. And they do fantastic. The Muck, what a great product line that is, for the people that are working in iffy weather. They make a good winter boot. It's got some Thinsulate in it, so it keeps your foot pretty warm. It's not quite like a pack boot, but if you're moving around, I think it's appropriate. But like a guy told me before I ever owned my first pair, he goes, "It's like wearing your tennis shoes all day."
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it. Before you had the old black pullover rubber boots or the green ones, and if you didn't have shoes on them, and when you got feet as big as mine, it was hard to find the pair where you could actually put your shoes on underneath them. So try walking around in those boots for even an hour or two compared to these muck boots, and it's like wearing tennis shoes all day.
Yeah.
What a great invention. Now, when you think about it, Wade, what customers do you reach? What customers are you really trying to reach at Home of Economy?
Well, in this day and age, you don't want to turn out anybody, and you kind of expand out. But like I said, in the work clothing, you've got a certain amount of person that definitely work in those clothes. But also, there's people like me. Office job, and but I prefer to live rurally.
Sure.
And so I like wearing that stuff on my own time. You want to be able to take that working guy and sell him the stuff for when he's off work, and so he's going out to eat or whatever. You want to be able to to keep all of his business in there. So you have it on that, but then you go to you've got the farm and auto. That's a different kind of a related lifestyle, where people that are working or living with some land or projects or whatever. But then you go into like the Traeger, and that's really in the outdoor cooking, which we're doing that, and the Traeger, and then we've got the Weber, and then with the Napoleon grills, which are coming along great, and all the related products. So we have that, and that's really for anybody who's a homeowner, and that's going to be a little bit older person. I mean, not just your 18-year-old.
Sure.
I mean, you're going to catch them around 25, 30 maybe.
And that's another thing about Home of Economy. You carry things from kids all the way to adults. And another thing about Home of Economy, it doesn't matter what your budget is, how much money you make. I mean, you could be a millionaire and go into Home of Economy and do your shopping, or you could be like me and still go to Home of Economy and do all your shopping. And there's always, it's just a good price. And that's another thing we were talking about earlier before we went on the air. You'll see it now because of the pandemic. There, supposedly there's shortages all around the world. And there's a lot of businesses that are taking advantage of that to their advantage. And that's one thing I have not seen Home of Economy do.
Ammunition's a good example, because we have really good sources, through our groups, and we were getting shipped pretty well all through this. And, like last year, we were short all last year, but we actually sold 3 years supply in 1 year. So we're putting out a lot of product, but there's maybe smaller businesses that were buying it from us and taking it and selling it for a higher price, which is just really frustrating. And you try to stop that, and that's why you have a limit on things.
Sure.
I don't mind that some hillbilly wants to have a couple more boxes of 22s just in case, because it's hard to get. But when people are buying everything and then gouging the customers, we're not going to do that, because we got so much to sell that our customers are going to they're going to buy it because we got them, but they're going to hold it against us for everything else. So we didn't make any more. I mean, of course the prices went up and what we had to pay, so of course the prices go up, but I mean, we are still a very fair price. But
the price goes up $1 or $2 on an item. You're not going to jack it 7 or 8 just because they're going up and it's hard to find,
or double or triple it, which you could do it because there was a panic there. I mean, it seems be getting a little bit better there, and then we had customers who were mad. Well, all your stuff went to this business. We had a big complaint, like somebody gave us a bad review on Google out in one of our other stores, and we're like, why are you mad at us? I mean, these guys are coming in, sending all their friends, buying them at the 2 boxes per customer, and they're wearing masks, they're changing shirts in the parking lot to come in. I mean,
and that's something what people will do.
And they'll come during different shifts, and I mean, we're not law enforcement here. We're just retailers. So we're not really good at catching people doing those mildly unethical things.
Mildly.
Yeah. So why are you upset with us?
Right.
But I mean, our intention is to, is to keep the relationship with the customers long term.
You know, when you go into Home of Economy, you see what's in there. If there's not something that is perfect for you or whatever, maybe fit wise, can you do special orders at Home of Economy?
Yeah, we still do special orders. It used to be a bigger deal back when before the internet or whatever. A lot of people, they just they'll buy it online or whatever, and but we have a pretty deep stock. We try to have everything, but we'll certainly do a special order, and a lot of times that's a better way of doing it. We don't charge a lot extra for that, so.
You know, this is a question I've wanted to ask you because there's times where I will just walk around your store. I always go in there with something in mind that I have to get, but I always walk around and look for that one thing that might surprise me. And I'm not an impulse buyer by any means, but is there an item in your store that maybe you got and you thought, I don't know, I'll get it, and you realized how much you should have had this a long time ago? And my example is those grabbers, you know, with the little thing on the bottom. You've got them when you walk in down towards the bait. They're on kind of over by the grill or by the cooking section, the spices.
Housewares,
but yeah, and I thought, you know, I see these city guys on their mowers, and in my neighborhood there's dogs. And so it never fails. There'll be a dog bone about so big, or dog toys. In fact, I cut the head off of a squeaky chicken last week and my neighbor's dog. But then you got to, you know, with today's mowers, you got all the safety stuff. You got to turn all that stuff before you can get off the mower and just to move it. So I bought one of those things and to keep it on my mower. And I wish I would have bought one 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've never done that, but we don't have neighbors, but this, you know, the dogs are always grabbing their toys and walking outside. So you got all these stuffed toys up front there.
Yep. And you can just reach over with that thing, pick it up and kind of toss it out of the way or toss it to where you mowed and keep on going. But that's a great example of, you know what, maybe this would be something I need, and now I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Love that stuff. Spray paint. What was the deal? You were talking about spray paint earlier.
Yeah, we had a really, and it's kind of related to that ammunition, but we had a case just now as we had sold some spray paint to a customer in Illinois, and we had problems with the shipping or whatever. The packages got broke or I don't know what the deal was, but so we had to talk to them. But they said that down there everybody's charging like $17-18 for a can of spray paint. That's one of the items that are tough to get right now. I don't know why, but you never know why any of this stuff. But so they're, you know, I mean, people down there in their whole town, rather than just, you know, suck it up and deal with the shortages, they're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And that seems to me, I mean, our customers have too good of memories for that. So.
Absolutely. And do you always get customers ordering from as far away as places like Illinois?
Yeah, it's really big. My brother's kind of, you know, my nephew actually is kind of running that. So, so I don't know all the details, but we're sending out all over. So it's real. You know, we just launched it a little bit more than a year ago, and it's doing pretty well. We actually made money in June on it, so I was pretty happy.
Well, that's got to tell you something about your stores when people from as far away from Illinois are going to order something from Grand Forks.
And something, you know, normal. I mean, you know.
Yeah, normal that you would think you could pick up at any big box store or hardware store or any of that kind of stuff.
Just corner place or...
You know, all of these things we have talked about, Wade, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on about why people should shop at Home of Economy. I mean, they can't just listen to me because...
Doesn't everybody?
Oh, well, listen to me or shop at Home of Economy because they should do both.
Yeah, well, obviously.
is still my absolute favorite store, and I'm guessing I will be back in there again today. Wade Pearson, thanks for coming in again today. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's great. Got to do it again next month.
Got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered everything, so...
All right. Going to the lake?
Yeah.
For the whole weekend?
Yep.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Gosh, I wish I was going with you.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. That's your Home of Economy podcast. Thanks to Wade Pearson for stopping in once again. Tell you what, and I say this every single day, it's my very favorite store in Grand Forks. If you haven't been there, check it out. Home of Economy and your Home of Economy podcast on GFBS.